Welcome back, you chock full of folgers. You're here with Martin Goldberg. I'm going to be talking about coffee and caffeine. Should you consume them? Should you not? I obviously am not currently a nutritionist and not a medical this, that, or the other, so consult the appropriate sources. I'm just going to be bringing up an article on benefits, so-called, downsides, and then my practical experience, which is probably more valuable, to be honest. I'm referring to coffee and caffeine more or less interchangeably here. I consider energy drinks to be pretty much poison. I wouldn't recommend consuming those. I will concede I do keep a 5-hour energy in my car for emergencies, like if I can't keep my eyes open on the road, because in the wonderful libertarian land of the United States, if you pull over to sleep, like even in a parking lot, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Goldberg, we have to write you a citation. That is simply not allowed. So even if you're trying to avoid potentially causing an accident, no, that is not permitted. At any rate, this is from Healthline, which is both the articles actually come from the same source. It goes 13 health benefits of coffee based on science. Which whenever you hear science in that context, it's always kind of funny. Number 1, can improve energy levels and make you smarter. I sort of wonder if by energy levels they're just confusing that with the state of sort of suspended sleepiness, but I can't sleep, which coffee tends to do, at least for me. And they say it interferes with inhibitory neurotransmitter adenosine and helps the other neurotransmitters, which gives you focus. I guess I could see that. I don't know how long or how sustained that is if you're drinking coffee all the time, though. Can help you burn fat, can drastically improve physical performance, contains essential nutrients like riboflavin and magnesium, niacin, may lower your risk of type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's disease and dementia, Parkinson's, can protect your liver, can fight depression, make you happier, may lower risk of certain types of cancer like colorectal and liver, doesn't cause heart disease and may lower stroke risk, may help you live longer, the biggest source of antioxidants in the Western diet. Well, that's assuming the Western diet's sort of rigid and unchanging. There's other places you can get antioxidants without necessarily including a caffeinated drink. And some of them might be a little bit pricier, but not all. I don't know if I would use that as an argument for coffee, but certainly not coffee beyond, let's say, 1 cup a day. So that's why we always have to understand moderation. People think because this is supposed to be good for you, therefore you should just be chugging it at all times. And that's silliness because you can then have an imbalance of sorts. Let's see, Article 2, which is Healthline as well. The downsides or side effects of too much caffeine. And again, see what I'm saying there, balance versus too much. Some people take things, they run with it, oh my god, it's the end of the world. Well, again, you can get benefits, but it doesn't have to be your way of life, correct? Number 1, anxiety. It's known to increase alertness at higher doses. The effects can be more pronounced, leading to anxiety and nervousness. It's interesting, almost 10 years ago I was working at the department store and my supervisor pointed out this other female supervisor. She was at the desk having a conversation. You could always see this. You'd see like her foot start bobbing up and down uncontrollably, almost like she didn't know it was happening, or from side to side. And he said, yeah, that's the sign of someone who drinks too much coffee. And I've seen it with other folks. This will go into what we'll discuss later in the video about the stressfulness of your life and your job and how I think it contributes to people consuming a lot of caffeine. Go down here. Insomnia. Yeah, if you train your body that it has to always be awake even if you feel like going to sleep, because it basically, I think it interferes with your sleep chemicals, something like that. I don't want to get too technical because then I'll lose you. Just that, but even your schedule can do that too. If you work overnight a lot and you're kicking back caffeine, which was one of the studies mentioned in the previous article about how consuming caffeine overnight, that can really enhance your productivity. But then on your days off, what is that going to do to you? You're probably going to pop up in the middle of the night freaking out because you have to be at work even though you don't need to. Digestive issues. Ah, yes. Just as a quick point here, I have tried the 7-Eleven 5-hour energy, and that is a little bit different from the regular 5-hour energy. In fact, it will definitely keep you alert. They say coffee, or caffeine rather, kind of speeds up the digestive process, or at least gives it a bit of a push. So, yeah, you'll be awake if you have one of those 7-Eleven types and that, ETA to the bathroom 15 seconds. I've tried it twice, both times with the same outcome, so I'm not just saying a random one-off. I have not yet tried the 5-hour energy at the dollar store, and I'm kind of tempted to just to see. Maybe I should do a live stream. That'd be kind of entertaining. But yeah, digestive issues, I call it or actually medically, scientifically, it's termed the irritated Latina booty syndrome. But that's where, like, I don't know exactly how to describe it. I remember in college I had an evening class, 3 or 4 hours, so I would get one black coffee before going into that. Now, if I didn't have the coffee with some kind of pastry or cookie, something solid, then you'd get that, the best way to describe it, again, another medical term, it's the I-lam-ow, it's not quite a fart. In other words, you feel like going to the bathroom, but it doesn't quite, but if you can just squeeze it out, but if you go a little bit too far, you could end up with a bit of a problem. Sorry, I hate to be descriptive, but I'm just saying, it messes with your digestive system, which is why I'm not a big fan of drinking a lot of caffeine, period. Muscle breakdown, addiction. Yeah, and by the way, if you drink more than 1 cup a day, that should already be a red flag, okay? People were like, this is my first cup of coffee for the day, man. Yeah, that's a problem. You need to be paying attention to how much you have a dependency on it. Because really, black coffee, and I'm excluding the people like, I need my coffee and it's a sugary frappuccino or latte, which that's a little bit different. And that's not good for you either. But if you're just drinking black coffee with cream or whatever, it's not a terribly tasty drink. I haven't met someone who really loves the taste of coffee. You should really be thinking, why are you consuming this? It may be because you need to, because you've developed a dependency on it. High blood pressure, yeah, that's definitely a big one. And if you have a stressful environment, it can make it even worse. Rapid heart rate, that's a no-brainer. Fatigue, sure. If you keep trying to fight your body's natural cycle too much, it can actually make you more tired and it could cause you to have an accident. So you see how you look at these two different articles and they're saying basically the opposite things, depending on the amount consumed and the situation. Frequent urination and urgency. Yeah, there was a dude I worked with in the past. He was on the older side, to be fair, like 50s, but he would drink probably 6, 7, 8 cups a day, always running to the bathroom, okay? And so, yeah, that's where it is. And they say light to moderate caffeine consumption. Yeah, I mean, honestly, 1 cup a day, I don't think is going to kill you. You might get some benefits out of it, but that should be 1 cup without a bunch of cream and sugar dumped in, just to say. Now, going into my experience, I grew up in a Italo-German, European descent family, something like that. So there was a decent amount of espresso, but mainly just black coffee. Never really liked it. I drank chamomile or raspberry lemon zinger tea growing up. I didn't like Earl Grey. I didn't even really like green tea, to be perfectly honest with you. And I still prefer those teas if I have to choose. But it was about the time when I started working as an operator, because we had weird hours. And I don't like going in early in the morning to a job unless it's a piece of cake job. But I started out, I had the 32-ounce Nalgene, half of it milk, half of it coffee. Well, you can't drink it fast enough, or I couldn't, and so it would just spoil. But I find, as I noted before, what caffeine does, basically, is it keeps you suspended in that situation where you are still very sleepy and miserable, especially early mornings, but you just can't fall asleep. So it's just inhibiting your natural, human or biological cycle, I suppose. So it wouldn't really help me. It would just kind of make me, okay, now I can operate like more of a zombie at this point. And I didn't like it, and I had the stuff where I'd wake up on my days off. I never really felt like I could go to sleep. And when I went to sleep, it would be choppy. I'd wake up after a couple hours or whatnot. So that's why even then I wasn't using a lot of caffeine, but I did notice this. The more stressful jobs that I've had, the more caffeine I've consumed, even though I don't really like coffee. I mean, sure, give me a French or Italian roast occasionally. I'll put a little bit of creamer. I don't put sugar in it. That's fine. But as far as a daily or multiple times a day, never really appealed to me. I don't like the taste of coffee too much. And the more stressful, like when I was working as a tradesman, I was good at the job, I liked it, but just the responsibility, the demands, I mean, yeah, you will drink more caffeine just because you feel more, you feel just more responsibility, and it stresses you out, and so you have a tendency to consume that almost as a compensatory mechanism. That's what you have to think about. I tell people, look at your schedule, look at how stressed out you are, and think about maybe that's playing into your dependency. It's not just caffeine. People who dip, just disgusting, spitting in a bottle. People who vape, smoke, drink. A lot of these things are compensation mechanisms. And over time, they can wear you down and create bigger health problems. So I just recommend look into that, okay? I'm lucky now, last 2 years or so, I've had a pretty low-stress job that actually pays more than the last one. And that's a positive. And I'm trying to keep it that way, not add too much stress to my life, although buying a house, that adds some stress because you have more financial obligations. Now I'm doing another book, and the revelations in researching this book about World War II have just really pissed me off. So that's a little bit more stress, but not much. What my current regimen is, I think it's like 3 days a week I have green tea with pomegranate. It's like a Pure Leaf brand, which I got for a really good deal. Pure Leaf being one of the better tea brands I've found in the United States that's widely available. And then 1 or 2 days a week I'll also have decaf green tea. Or if I work late, I'll just have a decaf. I won't drink caffeinated stuff after, let's say, 6 p.m. in most cases. And then 1 day a week I'll have Nescafe dark roast with some keto creamer, no sugar added. And I do that just because, once a week. It's not really hurting me. So I suppose I still have a fairly substantial caffeine intake if you consider the green tea, but it's not anything, green tea in comparison to coffee has very little caffeine. My understanding is, maybe you're going to fact check me here, I can do that like once a week. I'm not a coffee every day. On my days off, I don't drink really much of anything besides water, maybe some milk occasionally. Although I'm trying to get rid of dairy as well as much as possible. Just switch to rice milk, which may or may not be better. Who knows? The point is, you have to think about it. Moderation is fine, but if you have a dependency, that's where you have to stop and say, okay, is this worthwhile? And again, stay clear of all those energy drinks. The Red Bull, the AMP, the WD-40, you don't need it, and it's probably going to cause major health problems down the road just so that you can have the energy or the alertness to do a job. You don't want to work yourself to death. That's basically the short of my message. All right, so caffeine in moderation, okay. Over the top, probably a bad idea.